It's the Armchair Quarterbacks weekdays right here on WAOC CBS Sports Radio. The Armchair Quarterbacks, your first choice for sports here on the First Coast. Are you a gun enthusiast? Love to shop for guns? Or also looking for friendly service? Well, you're in luck. Here in St. Augustine, Top Gun Supply is the friendly gun shop. Staff is very knowledgeable, happy to see you when you walk through the door, and can assist you with all your gun shopping needs. Top Gun Supply stocks a wide range of firearms, such as Ruger, Beretta, Sig Sauer, HK, and LWRC. So stop on by at Top Gun Supply at 525 State Road 16 in St. Augustine. Top Gun Supply here in St. Augustine, the friendly gun shop, a proud sponsor of the Armchair Quarterbacks.
We are the Armchair Quarterback Show, your first choice for sports talk live from the First Coast. We're here weekdays on CBS Sports Radio.
Pack it up, pack it in, let me begin. I came to win, battle me, that's a sin. I won't ever slack up, punk, you better back up. Try and play the role and you're the whole crew will act.
It's morning.
Yes, and what a lovely morning. Good morning.
Good morning. We've talked the whole night through.
Good morning.
Good morning to you.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. That's just my baby dog. That's just my baby dog. That's just my baby dog. He's
Armchair.
CBS Sports Radio.
You're listening to the Armchair Quarterbacks on CBS Sports Radio, #1 sports station.
Good morning, and this is your Armchair Quarterbacks Sports Flash. With all the hype of championship weekend in the NFL, you might have missed the UFC. But Saturday night, Dustin Poirier took down and avenged his loss versus Conor McGregor. The perennial UFC lightweight contender shocked McGregor, beating him via TKO after swarming him with punches at the 232 mark in the second round. Second night in the main event of UFC 257, which was pay-per-view. McGregor had previously beaten Poirier in UFC 178 in 2014. Poirier ranked number 3 and Conor McGregor number 10 in the world. With the football world on pause until a week from Sunday, as it'll resume and conclude this 2020-21 season with the Super Bowl, Major League Baseball's hot stove season is starting to heat up. The Nationals reach a one-year deal with their longtime star, first baseman DH Ryan Zimmerman. Zimmerman did not play in the 2020 season, opting out because of the coronavirus. This year, he announced that he will agree to a one-year, $1 million contract at the age of 36. The Boston Red Sox have been extremely busy as they signed 2 guys over the weekend. They reached a one-year, $10 million deal with starting pitcher Garrett Richards, formerly of the San Diego Padres and Los Angeles Angels. In 2020, he went 2-2 with a 4.03 ERA for the Friars. And they also reached a 2-year deal with longtime Dodger Kike Hernandez. Hernandez had been with the Dodgers for the last 6 years, helping a run to several World Series appearances and bringing it all home in 2020. Hernandez is 29 years old and can virtually play anywhere in the infield. He is a career 240 hitter with little pop, but most experts think getting an everyday role will increase his value immensely. Also of note, the San Diego Padres have agreed to a 3-year, $21 million deal with Jerickson Profar. Profar continued to show his versatility as a true utility man and played 5 defensive positions for the Padres last year. And that's your Armchair Quarterback Sports Flash. Stay tuned for more of the Armchair Quarterbacks YouTube Live. Please like, subscribe, and share our show today. The Armchair Quarterbacks, your first choice for sports talk live from the First Coast.
Good morning. It's time to wake up, y'all. You're listening to the Armchair Quarterback Show. We're here weekdays, 8 a.m. Eastern, 7 Central to 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 Central. The Armchair Quarterback Show, your first choice for Southern sports talk. Good morning, Mr. Justin Waller.
Good morning. I don't know much, but I know one thing. The greatest football weekend is over, and now we have Super Bowl 55 set. We're going to see the kid take on the GOAT, and I think we'll talk about it for decades.
Hi, I'm Mac McGinn. I don't know much, but I know one thing. Aaron Rodgers ain't too happy with them kicking that field goal late. We'll talk about that and a whole hell of a lot more. Hope y'all enjoyed the intro. We're trying to add some things to the Armchair Quarterbacks.
Phil, what are you doing here? You're partied out, man. Again.
What if he honks in the car?
I'm giving you a no honk guarantee.
Phil, if you're gonna spew into this.
Armchair.
Community Access Channel.
He's the armchair quarterback. He's full of beer and he's full of snacks. The all-American man with a cool one in his head.
Hey, howdy, hi, top of the morning to you. Welcome to the Armchair Quarterback Radio Show. I'm Mac McGee, sitting alongside Justin Waller. Justin, how the hell are you this morning, sir?
I'm doing great, Mac. Like I said, man, is that not the greatest week? Championship Sunday is the greatest football day ever. I enjoy it more than the Super Bowl. I mean, obviously with Super Bowl, like hanging out with friends, but it's just a true day of football, and it's amazing. I'm doing great this morning. How are you, man?
I'm doing good. I'm assuming that everything went in the ears and you could hear everything on the intro. And
oh yeah, a little more than I bargained for. The little puppy threw me a curveball this morning. My little co-pilot here didn't know how to react and set him off. So hopefully he's calmed down, but he's working on his etiquette, and he might break in for a few choice words here and there, and I apologize.
Trying to make the sports flash a little more lively since people are watching it on YouTube more, and so yeah, that's what we got going on with that, and got a lot to get into and a little time to get into it because okay, let's go ahead and start off with that Tampa Bay game because I feel like, well, I'll tell you what, I believe I have the sound bite. I'll see if I can go ahead and pull it up right now. Let me see if I can do this without setting off 17 alarms and Scud missiles and whatnot. I gotta pull it up first. But Aaron Rodgers, essentially, he is none too happy with.
Aaron, did you?
Let's see. I got the beginning of it, so I'm gonna go ahead and start it here in a second. But he is none too happy with the.
Please. Aaron, did you?
All right, there we go.
Wait.
Sorry, I'm having to figure this out as I go. But he is not happy about what happened. And what's funny is that they asked him as if he is the one that actually took or made the call, right? The way the reporter's going to ask it is they're going to ask him, did he agree with the decision as if he was actually involved in the decision? Well, he's not the head coach, right? So it was kind of a goofy question, but it is an interesting answer because you can tell from the jump, just was not happy. Here we go with this. I'm assuming that you can see this, sir?
Absolutely.
All right. So I believe I've got audio.
Agree with the decision to kick it there on 4th down?
Well, I didn't have a decision on that one. Yeah, that wasn't my decision. But I understand the thinking above 2 minutes with all of our timeouts, but yeah, that wasn't my decision.
Bill Huber.
Okay,
fair
and so that's essentially it. It ends up going. It goes on and on about other things, but anyways, you could tell that he's just not. So I guess my point is, it looks like that the honeymoon stage with LaFleur is over, and I know that. Look, we talked about how he made questionable decisions when he was with Tennessee, and he's done a great job getting the Green Bay to the conference championship game 2 years in a row. So I know Green Bay fans are not ready to throw him out, but they've got to be pissed right now because the guy flat out made a boneheaded decision. And last night I was making this comment. I was like, you know what? I feel like he needs to, and maybe some other coaches need to, have someone on their staff who has a lot of experience, who, they don't want to be involved in the ins and outs of the game. They don't want to game plan, but you get them there on Sunday so they can make level-headed decisions. Maybe they're sitting up in a booth, right? And someone that they could confer with, probably an older guy, right? Someone who's been in the game, but can take a step back and basically, punt it to him and say, look, what do you think?
Yeah. Like, don't you wish you had the MVP of the league on the field that could have made that decision for you? I mean, that may have been somebody that I would have consulted with. I get what he was thinking, but you took the ball out of the MVP's hand and gave it to arguably the greatest quarterback of all time. And you thought your defense was better than your MVP quarterback. I don't know that I make that gamble in that time because what's the worst that happens? You don't get it on 4th and 8 at the 8 or 4th and goal at the 8. So now Tom Brady's backed up in the second half. He's already thrown multiple interceptions. You've done pretty good stopping the run. I think it's a whole different scenario than kicking it deep to him and giving it up to him. I forget where they came out with that ball. Once the return went to about the 30.
Well, that's okay. So that's my point the whole time. And so this isn't like, even though we are the armchair quarterbacks, this isn't Monday morning quarterbacking, because at the time I was like, what is he doing? He's down by a touchdown. A field goal essentially does you nothing, because it wasn't, I'm down a touchdown with about 7 minutes to go. I'm down a touchdown with 2 minutes to go. Yes, I have all my timeouts, but I'm also going up against Tom Brady, the greatest quarterback ever. So I'm going to bank that my defense, which hasn't been shut down all game long, is going to shut him down, because I think that I'm going to paint him into a corner and he's just going to run it up the gut 3 times, because Tom Brady's going to get scared and the moment's going to be too big for him. The very first play, what they did, they freaking blew right through with a 9-yard pass, set up 2nd and 1. Of course, Green Bay, I thought it was a smart decision for Green Bay to jump on the offsides to get the automatic first down. I think Tampa Bay should have declined it, by the way. If I'm Tampa Bay, I decline it, because it's not about field position at this point. It's all about downs and timeouts. I would have declined that penalty so that I could run the ball for a yard, get a first down. Had that worked, he would have been lauded as a genius, right? But if I'm Arians, I decline that. So maybe Arians needs a guy who's sitting up there going, hey, dude, it's 2nd and 1. They've got 3 timeouts left. If we get a first down, the best case scenario they're going to be able to do is stop the clock twice, right? And so you're going to get the ball back with maybe a minute left. But anyways, yeah, if you don't get that touchdown there,
it's not the end of the world. It's still a better scenario than kicking it off and being down 5.
And here's the other thing I'm thinking too. So maybe the Packers knew this, right? And they weren't playing 4 downs. So, on 3rd and 8 or 3rd and goal from the 8, Rodgers scrambles right, and he tries to force one in that gets, knocked down. And at the time I'm looking, why don't you run? What the hell are you doing? Dude, he had at least 5 yards before someone was even going to come close to him. And we saw how he niftily got in the end zone a week ago. And I'm thinking, why the hell didn't you run? It would be then like 4th and goal on the 2. I wonder if they went in there with the mindset, if he told them, look, guys, if we don't get it, we're going to kick the field goal, right? So that might have laid into the thinking of Aaron Rodgers on that particular play. I don't know that for sure, but I'm just wondering, because usually when you go in the play before, you kind of discuss what your options are going to be. Because if it's 3rd and goal in the 8 and you know you're going for on 4th, you would tell your quarterback, look, we've got 2 downs to get this. If you can get us just a little closer, it's going to help, right? So I felt like, because I didn't understand, it's like, why is he trying to score the touchdown across the throw against his body in double coverage? Well, he easily would have made it to the 3-yard line. I'm thinking he would have made it to the 2 or 1. And then you've got all kinds of options.
Yeah, I mean, I get that, because you wouldn't want that angle or putting it any closer. So maybe that's why he checked it off. I just assumed at the time that he had saw a spy that obviously, I mean, he's the NFL MVP, not me. He saw something I didn't see, but it looked wide open. I mean, I even questioned whether he could have scored. And I think if he really wanted to, he probably could have. But again, I'm going to put it that he saw something different, but I can't believe LaFleur took the ball out of his hands. It reminded me of the Chargers game in London for the Titans, where we saw boneheaded play calling cost them that game into that Monday night football game. So I've seen it before. It was a LaFleur that I was worried would reemerge, but he's got to work on those things, because when he gets in there against the elite, he makes some boneheaded plays, or calls, I should say.
Well, that's what I'm saying. He might be a fine coach. I feel like he needs some kind of, like, they always call them special assistants to the head coach. He needs some kind of eye in the sky, an older veteran type coach that you trust his ability to think in the quick, right? And does not go for just going for dumbass plays, because I think LaFleur will consistently get them in the playoffs with his X's and O's, right? But it just seems like he always makes something like really, really boneheaded decision. And this time it cost them. Even before that, the hell were they going for 2 points for in the 3rd quarter? If they don't go for 2 points, this isn't even a conversation, because they would have been down 7 and you never would have kicked a field goal down 7.
Nope.
And there was like 2 minutes left in the 3rd quarter. They score a touchdown, and he goes for 2, and I did not understand that at the time. Like, it is way too early to be assuming that you're only going to get the ball one more time and score.
And let's just rip the Band-Aid off the pass interference call. I'll give you my take on it real quick. Look, they'd let that go on all day. It shouldn't have probably been called. Was it pass interference? Yes, but we'd seen multiple occasions all day long that they had let them play. So I don't like the timing. I wish they would have left the flag in the pocket, but Matt LaFleur shouldn't have kicked a field goal, and you never would have been in that situation, is all I got to say about the pass interference call. Your coach put you in the spot to have that there, and when you put yourself in those situations, you know it's a possibility.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that Matt LaFleur has to wear this one, whether he wants to or not. It was definitely his goof up that cost the Packers. I still feel like the Packers were probably the more talented team. Now, the Aaron Jones injury might have hurt them a little bit, but it seems like that guy gets injured pretty easily. So you got Jamal Williams, you've got A.J. Dillon. You weren't exactly handcuffed, so to speak. But now shifting gears over to the Buccaneers and what they did right. Like this isn't all about the Bucs losing the game. The Bucs did some very good things to win the game and look damn good doing it. And they're going to become the very first team in the history of the Super Bowl to host the Super Bowl. And does not shock me at all that it's Tom Brady that's going to do it, right? I mean, what the hell, man? I mean, why wouldn't it be Tom Brady to be the first? Antonio Brown might be back for that game. I don't know. The severity of his injury has been kind of downplayed. What say you?
I think it's going to be interesting. I think the biggest thing to take away in the two games that I saw and what I liked about the Bucs the most was the way that they were able to get pressure on Rodgers, the way they were actually to get sacks, and they could blow up some of their little check down screens with that little screen option they run. You see Kansas City be creative and do the same thing. So as long as they can do that, because that was Buffalo's downfall. I mean, they just never really made Mahomes uncomfortable, and he just picked them apart. And it was timely plays. It was a scramble here, and guys ran open or got themselves open, and he just made the pass. So, but Tampa Bay is going to have to find a way to force the edge, keep Mahomes in the center of the pocket there, and try and collapse on him. Now, that's really easily say. We haven't seen anybody successfully just take him out of his game like that, but Tampa showed they could. They rolled into Green Bay and put it on Aaron Rodgers, and that's not a bad offensive line.
That play that we're seeing right now, I'm gonna try to back it up to the beginning of it. Right here, Scotty Miller with 8 seconds left. That was the play of the game.
Well, and that was a punt situation where they take a timeout, come back out and decide to go for it. Maybe it was a play before they got the first down and then it created this play, but right. it was a win in the coaching column there and Tom Brady's to pull that off. And then he liked what he saw. And
Tom Brady, there's no way Bruce Arians.
Yeah.
We all know that Bruce Arians is a bonehead. That is all Tom Brady. He knows he's got 8 seconds. He's going for the jugular. And I think he also knows that, hey, if I don't get this, we've got an outside chance to try a really long field goal. Oh, what the hell? Because you got about as much chance of that happening as you do the play. Okay, so in other words, if you try to do a quick out, you're only going to gain about 5 yards, right? And you can't do anything to the middle of the field because you have no timeouts left. So when they go for the jugular, and they pretty much, I mean, that right there just caught the Packers by surprise. I looked up his character's name, but yesterday on Twitter, I basically said that the Packers just got Woody Harrelson off of White Man Can't Jump. I can't think of the guy's name, Billy something, because they didn't think Scotty Miller could burn him, and man, did he burn him. I mean, he absolutely burned him. It was an incredible play, and that was one of, if not the best, most important plays of the entire weekend. Because now you give yourself an 11-point lead, and then, oh, by the way, they come out of the gate in the second half. They fumble the ball immediately. Aaron Jones doesn't come back on the field. So sometimes I wonder when someone has an injury right after they fumble. I just remember I always played with kids that did that. You know what I'm saying? When you're growing up, and I'm hurt because I fumbled and whatnot. And that's the first thing that goes to my mind. Is like, oh, here we go. He didn't come back in. So I'm going to say that the injury was legitimate. But when I saw the turnover, first of all, if you're a Packers fan, you're hoping it's going to get overturned. But after they do the replay, he's got like 4 or 5 steps. Like, yeah, dude, if that's not a fumble, what the hell is? Right. In the first play, we just played the video, but Brady goes right after the jugular, throws a dart over the safeties into the end zone with a wide open tight end. And bam, you don't even, I mean, the next time you realistically touch the ball after late in the second quarter, because I'm not going to count the first possession because you fumbled it out the gate. The next time you kind of get your feet underneath you, it's not 14-10. It's not 17-10 after a long field goal attempt. It's 28-10. And to Aaron Rodgers' credit and the rest of the Packers, they could have packed it in, but they didn't. They did an incredible job coming back. But man, I'll tell you what, those plays obviously played into how the Bucs got the W. I also think it's huge that when they got that lead, and because of Brady's experience, there was no panic factor when they started to come back, right? And so Brady, I was thinking about this morning, Brady is just incredible about being able to, I've said it for years, he's the ultimate game manager, and I don't mean that in a derogatory way. I mean, he knows what's going on in the game. he knows if he has to press, he knows if he just needs to just throw the ball away. He knows, hey, my defense is playing pretty good. I'll lean on them. And now he's heading to his 10th Super Bowl.
And he does it at the right time. It's just like going for the jugular. You say he took advantage of his turnovers. He scored 14 points off of his 2 turnovers that he received. So Green Bay did not capitalize like that on the turnovers because he threw a lot of picks. They got to him, got pressure, and in the second half, I mean, I think he had 3 of them, didn't he? Or was it 2 and a fumble? I know he had multiple interceptions, but Green Bay didn't capitalize off of them. They weren't able to have the same results.
Yeah. He had 3 interceptions.
Yes.
Now 2 of them were kind of goofy, and I don't know if I can necessarily
2 of them essentially turned into punts. I mean, really weren't crucial, but one of them was really bad.
Right.
The goal line with the Evans tip, there's nothing you can do about that. Other than put it in his hands where he can catch it.
The deep pass to Evans, where there was the interception there,
where it was tipped, it was just above his head. He got his hands on it and tipped it, and Alexander caught it about the 4 or the 5.
I'm talking about the deep pass, which I think would have been the last of them. Okay,
the drop touchdown.
No, the deep pass. He had 3 interceptions. He had one that went across the field, deep into Green Bay secondary. He had the other one that you're talking about with the tipped, and then there was another one where Evans was wide open down the sidelines, and Brady basically threw a 50-50 ball,
and he didn't come back for it. He didn't know it was in the air.
Evans didn't see the damn ball. Like, it was one of those things where, but Evans had such a bad game, you kind of wanted to blame Evans, but it was one of those goofy. I just don't think he honestly saw it.
Yeah, he hadn't even looked back. I mean, he knew it wasn't Pat, or he didn't know it was in the air. That's what I meant to say.
Right. So that's going into what we have now is they're going to be going home. They're going to be able to use their own locker room, I would think. I don't know who's considered the home team in the Super Bowl, but I would think that because of COVID alone, you're going to let Tampa Bay have their own locker room, right? It only makes sense. And there's going to be a lot of things to add. There's going to be some distractions, but I think all in all, it's going to be a great thing to be able to be familiar with your surroundings. What say you?
Yeah, it's just being able to be at home, your bed, your practice. You don't have to travel for the week. I think that it's going to be a lot of normalcy to what's usually an abnormal situation. So for everyone on that roster that hasn't been to a Super Bowl week and maybe it lowers some of the pressure off of them. One thing you got to know, I mean, everybody knows the Chiefs have already been there, so they've got this experience. I don't think they'll be as shell-shocked as a road team going into this, but I think it could help Tampa Bay really have some a mental advantage, with the rest, the relaxation, the focus over these next 2 weeks with Kansas City coming to them. And then the after party. Let's talk about that. Whoa.
Pre-party. Whoa.
Well, hopefully not for Bucs fans, but because that's a pre-party you don't really want to get kicked off. Not with that roster.
I'm going to see if I can find something real quick. Someone tweeted it out this morning, and I retweeted it. I'm going to let me see if I can find this real quick because I thought it was pretty damn funny. It was from yesterday. It was or last night. Sorry, last night. And let me see if I can. All right. So this is Brady and Gronk coming off the plane. If I do that, is that going to mess things up? All right. All right. So I'm going to try to play this off the Twitter feed. And this is pretty damn funny, to be honest with you. They've got let me see what we got going on here. This one's a little trickier. I got to figure out what the hell I'm doing here on this one. But anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and try to do this. Yeah, okay. I can do it. All right, here we go. All right, so this is it. Check this out.
Going nowhere.
All right. All right. The rest of that is junk.
We can't stop now.
Sorry.
But I just knew when that camera panned, I knew Gronk would be right next to me. He just like, what's up? We're back, baby. We're back. You thought it was over. Now, everyone who hates on them and talks about how they're just, the worst, and I can't stand them. I'll be interested to see how many people are pulling against Tom Brady and Gronk now that they're in another uniform, right? Is there going to be some nostalgia that kicks in? Because this would be kind of cool to see that. Now, here's the other thing we can bat around later in the week because we got to get to a break. But would they be more? Would they be less of a cool story if Antonio Brown plays in the damn game? Right? Because I think a lot of people would have a problem pulling for Antonio Brown, but if he's hurt and he can't play, no one has an issue with like the Mike Evans and the Chris Godwins of the world and whatnot, right? So, from that standpoint, I think they become a lot more likable they probably become a little more difficult to guard, and they might need Antonio Brown to get past because they're going to have to put some firepower up to beat Kansas City. But
I feel like the Tampa Bay went all NBA about it and went and got them a big three, and they brought them in, and somehow everybody was laughing. Oh yeah, they're going to the Super Bowl. Yeah, right, they're going to the Super Bowl. And look where they're at. They're in the Super Bowl. It's panned out perfectly for that front office.
Amen to that. All right, let's go ahead and take a quick break. When we come back, the Bills Chiefs, we're going to talk about that, and we're going to get into some baseball. We'll be back in a flash here on the Armchair Quarterbacks.
So imagine how much I'm actually making to play. You know what I'm saying? No, I got to get my money. I'm not playing unless I get mine. It's not worth it. It's not.
Fantasy sports is back, and it's time to jump into DraftKings. Go to DraftKings today at DraftKings.com. Golf, NASCAR, soccer, you name it. And, of course, Major League Baseball, basketball, hockey, and football. Go to DraftKings.com. Listen to the Armchair Quarterbacks for DFS advice all year round. Armchair Quarterback Radio. We cover the world of baseball from start to finish.
Baerga is 0 for 3. Left center field. Grissom on the run. The team of the 90s has its world championship. A liner off Maggie's glove into center field. The Florida Marlins have won the World Series. Brocious, fittingly with a throw, the Yankees have done it again. Number 24. They are the world champions of baseball in 1998. Chance of a lifetime for Luis Gonzalez. 2-2, bottom of the ninth, game 7 of the World Series. Bases loaded. Red Sox fans have longed to hear it. The Boston Red Sox are world champions. In the air to left, well hit. Back is Craig. What a team. What a ride. The Cardinals are world champs.
Armchair.
Anyone got a stapler? Got a lot of forms, and there's a slight reason here.
Because paperwork is dramatic. Catch it Thursdays on Weasel before it catches you.
You're listening to the Armchair Quarterback Show. We're here weekdays. Drive time? Find the Armchair Quarterback Show on Facebook today.
Up this cane. All I wanna do is put a drink in my hand.
If dating is the game, then marriage is winning the game.
Yeah, if you're playing in the women's league.
Armchair Quarterback Radio Show. We cover the whole SEC all season long.
First and goal. Franks. Jump pass. Hello, Tebow. From going deep. High arcing shot. It is hauled in. Terry Godwin. And he stays up. Godwin dances into the end zone. 75 yards. Tagovailoa flushed out of the pocket. He'll run with it. He's got the first down and more. Still on the run. He is gone. Touchdown, Alabama. Second down and 10. Garantano over the middle. Ty Chandler. It's a race to the end zone, and he wins it. 42 yards. Touchdown, Tennessee. What a great.
Armchair.
You wouldn't believe how many guys wanted to play here. We had to beat them off with a stick. Ty Cobb wanted to play. None of us could stand a son of a when we were alive, so we told him to stick it.
Welcome back here to the Armchair Quarterbacks on a Monday morning, championship morning, as the Super Bowl is set. We're going to get the Chiefs versus the Bucs, Brady versus Mahomes one more time. Evidently, they're 2-2 against each other all time. The one that I always remember was the one where Brady beat Mahomes in the AFC Championship game a couple of years ago. They did play earlier this year, but that's the one that sticks out in my memory. So I think that's the only time that they've met in the playoffs, I believe. I could be missing one early in Mahomes' career where maybe he got bounced, but Brady definitely got the better of him that game. Of course, that was a classic. That was an absolute classic. And I don't know why this one would be any different, because though it feels like that the Chiefs can't be beat, that there's just this offense you can't stymie. I felt like they were that 2 seasons ago. And this Bucs team, they've got a hell of a lot more weapons than that Patriots team did. I mean, we remember that because the next time the Patriots hit the field, they won the Super Bowl against the Rams, but that was probably the boringest Super Bowl that I have ever seen in my life. That might have been the boringest championship I've ever seen in my life. I remember it was like 13-3, and it wasn't even that explosive. I felt like if someone told me 10 years from now that the Patriots won that game 3-2, I would probably believe them. I'd be like, yeah, that actually sounds about right. I don't remember touchdowns in that game. I remember being thankful that I took the under, and that was about it. that was it. I was like, this is the worst Super Bowl ever. And I like defensive games, but not when it just feels like it's stagnant offense, right? If there's big defensive plays, if there's big goal line stances, that's great. But when you just feel like it's a bunch of punting back and forth, it just doesn't feel the same. Bills, Chiefs, there was no point in that game once it got kicked off. And even though I was pulling for Buffalo, so that's kind of why I picked them last week, there was no point once that game got going and the Chiefs got that first touchdown, make it 9-7. There was no point. There was no point in that game after that I was like, yeah, man, the Bills can win this game. I just felt like this was an avalanche ready to bury them. And that's essentially what happened. What say you on the Bills Chiefs?
Najee Harris should be your number 1 draft pick. You got to figure out a way to go up and get that guy, because the lack of running game, I think, is what allowed that Chiefs defense just tee off on you. And Allen didn't make the play. His legs didn't get rid of the ball at times where he should. He just he didn't have a great game. Had some hiccups there. So you're going to have to actually have a number 1 running back, and this committee's got to stop in Buffalo. You need somebody that can open that up and offer you another dynamic on that offensive side of the ball. You probably need to get another playmaker for Diggs. They showed that they could just cover Diggs, and they were just, okay, now beat us with everybody else, and the Bills were unable to do it. So I think they just need a little bit more. They're there, they're getting there, but to get over to this hump of Mahomes, we said the big debate, is it going to be, Lamar Jackson or Patrick Mahomes? How are you going to build your roster moving forward if you're an AFC team? Well, I think we've answered that question this year. You better focus on the Kansas City Chiefs and how in the world you're going to get pressure on Mahomes, and how are you going to stop the multiple angles they attack you from. How do you strike back? You've got to find a way. I don't think you're ever going to just shut that offense down, but how can you create a dynamic offense that can hang points with them?
I believe the way the Bucs are going to try to do it is they're going to try to control the clock. I think they're good. I think they, even though their defense has played really well, they're not the 85 Bears, right? So they're not just going to go out there and shut down Kansas City, but one of the biggest weapons that defense could have would be for the offense, whether it's a short passing game, running game mix, however you have it. If you limit the opportunities Pat Mahomes has the ball in his hands, because he can tend to rush the ball. He can tend to make some mistakes. And if that were to happen, then you can almost start putting some pressure on him, right? Remember last year against San Francisco blew that game. We really should be talking right now about Kansas City still trying to get their first championship as Brady's trying to get his 7th, right? Instead, we're talking about the defending Super Bowl champions up against the GOAT. But San Francisco, just like LaFleur, blew that game. That was a total coaching. I can't put that on the players involved in that game. And how did they do that? They controlled the clock. They ran the ball, and then for some reason they got in the fourth quarter and they started chucking it everywhere, and bad things happened. I can guarantee you this: if Brady has a 10-point lead going into the fourth quarter, it's going to be a hell of a lot more difficult to come back on him, because Brady's going to move the ball. He's going to move the chains. He's going to eat some clock, and he'll put his team at least in field goal range to add to the points up on the scoreboard. Because when it's all said and done, if you score more points than they do, that is the name of the game. And so however the hell you do it, there's a lot of ways that you can attack this, but Buffalo is just, I thought Buffalo had a chance because I thought Mahomes might come out a little rusty, right? But I did not think Buffalo had a chance to win the Super Bowl, because I felt like whoever they faced in the NFC, and even in it ringing true against the Chiefs, I just felt like without a running game, they have no semblance of a running game.
None.
I can't pick a team to win the Super Bowl when you can't run the ball at all. We have had Super Bowl teams that have not been running juggernauts. I mean, when I was growing up as a kid, you worry about the running game in your defense long before you ever worry about your passing game. But things have changed so much over the years that that's no longer the case. But you got to have something to keep them.
We've seen multiple times this season they've used Allen to jumpstart the running game to allow options, because you got to start honing in and spying on Allen, so it creates one less person in the box for you start using some counters or some misdirection. It opens up your running game, but we didn't see it at all yesterday. They didn't even use Allen in running. I didn't see it. I can think of 2 scrambles, but that's about it.
A couple, but it wasn't like it was.
It wasn't game planned.
No. Yeah, exactly. One of them in particular, I'm thinking in my head, it was actually just a great athletic decision by him. He decided to keep the ball and he took off and got about an 11-yard gain. And then the other one, he did it during a scramble, right? So, but yeah, it didn't feel, none of it felt game planned. And they probably don't want to put their franchise quarterback there to get clobbered, because they can't get a running game going with Devin Singletary. And Devin Singletary dropped some passes. Devin Singletary, I think if I'm the Bills, it's time to cut bait. Zach Moss can be a good backup, but I'm with you. I don't think they're going to be able to get to Najee Harris, because in all likelihood, now you never know, because the NFL, for whatever reason, devalues running backs like I've never seen in this era. Even though it has been proven, if you have a Derrick Henry,
he was the first pick of the second round, wasn't he?
Well, but you can do great things if you have a great running back. But they get devalued. But I'm with you. If they can find a way to get a Najee Harris, or I don't know if ETN, because ETN would be fun to see what he could do in that offense, right? But I think you need a bell cow, and I don't know if ETN's a bell cow. ETN's gonna be dangerous wherever the hell he goes, right? But I don't know if he's a bell cow. He's gonna look really good in a Tennessee Titan uniform. We can bring back thunder and lightning.
I like it. I like it a lot. Yeah, but I don't know if to that point, I don't think the draft capital is the same for those 2 players. I don't think you're going to be talking if you're going ETN, you're later in the second. I thought looking at your first pick with that. So I don't know where they would go, but I think that's their most glaring need, aside from they need another number 1 wide receiver or 1B to get to complement Diggs. You need a Thielen. And I mean, Beasley's been there, but Beasley just really doesn't give you that vertical deep, that in-between threat. You don't have the in-between. You either got the under or you got the deep. You take both of those away, and Buffalo's shown that they just can't consistently beat you.
Yeah, in like we're looking right now on how Kansas City beats you in just a number of ways. And I mean, this right here was just a quick little pass. What about that run, that long run beginning of the second, it was the second quarter by Hardman that set up the score. I mean, that the problem with Andy Reid, he's just too damn smart and he's got too many weapons. When Andy Reid didn't have the weapons that he had, he was dangerous enough. But look at this guy, Scat. How the hell do you cover that thing? I mean, what the hell do you do about that? That is just ridiculous. There's no human on the planet that can cover the cheetah. And it doesn't matter how good someone is. You just physically cannot run with the guy because he knows where he's going and you don't, and that's a problem. I mean, he's by far my favorite athlete to watch play in space. It's ridiculous how talented he is. And and it's scary how many yards he could get if they decided to go that route. I love that play right there, by the way. That underhand shovel pass to Kelsey, which they've done a few times. And it's one more wrinkle that you have to be ready for. And the worst case scenario is he doesn't catch that thing and it's an incomplete pass.
That's why they do it.
It's just like
I think Tom started that off and made it very popular and just kind of grew from there. I remember them.
And how the hell does a tight end drag with Kelsey? Look, no one covers this guy. Kelsey, really? I'd have two guys in charge of covering that guy.
They all bid on the misdirection and nobody stayed. But I mean, I don't know how you're not all week long. 8-7-1-0. I don't care where they move on the field. You stay with them. And you designate a you and a you. And I don't care who your you and your yous are, but yous better be there when you see plays like that.
Amen to that. And then there's a gentleman right now who's actually being heavily rumored for the Texans job. It looks like Bieniemy is down. It's down to him and one of their finalists. We'll see what happens with that. But of course, what the bad news for the Texans is it looks like that's where the Texans are going to go because basically Deshaun Watson whined and that's who he wants. Okay, fair enough. But man, they're going to have to wait another 2 weeks before he can get in the building. That's and oh, by the way, you don't have a first round draft pick. Thank you, Bill O'Brien.
Unless you want to trade Watson to the Jets and you'll pick one up. I find that as an interesting spot that he wants to go, but not many quarterbacks just come out and designate it as their most admired spot to be, but it's interesting.
I think one of my favorite things, what would happen is if Bieniemy goes in there, goes, I don't want this loser. Let's trade him to the Jets. I'm going to get Sam Darnold. I'm going to get a couple of their draft picks and watch them just sit up there on New York Jet Island and just suck for the next 10 years.
I don't even want to think about that because I know what they'll do with the number 2 pick, and I don't want to see that in the AFC South for the next 10 years. But because Devontae Smith will be a Texan if he gets a quarterback and the number 2 pick overall. Don't tell me Eric Bieniemy ain't gonna go out and get him a number 1 weapon out there.
Well, I don't want to see it.
I don't want to see
Deshaun Watson in Tennessee's division over the next 10 years. I can live with the wide receiver just as long as they've got, what was that? I can't think of the guy's name that they got from Denver that was just absolutely terrible that they went out and signed. God, what was his name? Terrible quarterback.
Wow, that's bad. He got paid like $17 million a year. It was horrible.
It was right before the Watson pick, whatever the hell his name was. He was like the first disaster that John Elway drafted. And so, anyways, let's go ahead and shift gears a little bit because we did get a lot of things happen in the Major League Baseball world.
Fast break. He starts the fast break with plenty of room in front of him. Here they go again. It's showtime.
Okay, so we're going to go ahead and hit the fast break with this because this is several moves happened over the weekend. Now, before we get into that real quick, did you watch the Tennessee-Missouri basketball game this weekend?
I did not.
Okay. I was just wondering what your thoughts are. I watched it. I thought it was a pretty good game.
I scoreboard watched. Son was in a basketball tournament. So I was there. I mean, I was in and out, but it looked more of the same. Just Tennessee can't get their offense going for whatever reason. I mean, what transpired?
There,
more of the Florida game.
It looked more like to me that they were living on the perimeter. And I feel like that they're going to have to create some things in the paint to be more consistent. I'll be interesting to see where the rankings are this morning. I don't know if they've came out yet or not, but I'm gonna see if I can pull them up, see if there's any new. Okay, well, no, these are power rankings. I don't want to pay attention to power rankings. That could be two guys in a calculator in the back room going, "Oh, we got our new power rankings out." The Florida State game, though, man, my God, that team is playing phenomenally, and they're not even ranked. That team is playing right now, and I'm not saying they're going to be there at the end of the year, but right now they would beat just about anyone in the country. If the tournament started today, Florida State is playing probably at their peak, and you don't want to peak in January, but man, are they playing incredible. No, it doesn't look like the new one is out yet, so I'll keep trying to update that to see if the new rankings come out, because I'm curious to see what happens going into, because this one still, because what I'm looking at still has Clemson ranked, and that's not good. Clemson got hammered twice this week. Clemson's not going to fall out of the top 20. They're going to fall out of the top 40. They got hammered twice, and one of them was it Georgia Tech? No, yeah, Georgia Tech. By the way, it's weird because they kept referring to it yesterday morning on our show I was watching, how Virginia is the defending national champion. I'm like, wait, what? What are we? I go, oh yeah, that's right. We didn't have a national champion last year. It's because it's so far removed, it doesn't even feel like it. But Virginia's having a good year, by the way. They're undefeated in the ACC, and they are, I want to say they're 10-2 overall. So, anyways, moving on, going to baseball. So the Red Sox, they go out and they get Kike Hernandez and Garrett Richards. And look, these aren't guys that are going to blow everyone away, so to speak, off the jump. But I think they're two good little pieces that could make them a little more competitive. I've always thought Kike Hernandez, if he could get in an everyday lineup, could be a solid player. He's a career 240, but I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that when you are a player that only plays twice a week, it's kind of hard to keep your batting average up, right? Because it's hard to get in a groove. It does seem like whenever he shows up on game day for the playoffs, it seems like he's always like right there in the making the big play, the big home running against the Braves last year in the NLCS. So Kike Hernandez, 2 years, $14 million. That kind of sets the path for, they've got a couple of guys down in their minor leagues. The first kid that comes to mind is the kid Jeter, who actually grew up a Yankees fan, but it was Jeter Downs, I believe his name is. He should be ready by about the time the Kike Hernandez deal is over. So that's a big deal for them. And then Garrett Richards, look, he had a 4 ERA last year with San Diego. He was solid. He's not gonna anchor your rotation, but he can be a good 4 or 5 guy. And then you'll probably see them add other players. The Yankees go out and get James Taillon, and we haven't seen him since 2019 because he had was it ACL or Tommy John surgery yet? I don't know. He had one of the two where he didn't play at all last year, and so that to me is a much bigger deal. I'm sure a lot of Yankee fans don't know much about Pittsburgh baseball, but James Taillon is remember there at one point when he was with Pittsburgh, and this is before they made the trade with Chris Archer, there used to be a debate on who the best pitcher on Pittsburgh was, and a lot of people thought it was James Taillon at the time. Now, the kid that they traded to Tampa ended up, his name's escaping me right now, but the kid that they traded to Tampa ended up, ended up surpassing him. A lot of it had to do with because of injury. And of course, remember James Taillon back in 2017, had to fight a bout of cancer as well. But James Tyon could have a comeback year, so to speak, and could do it big time in the pinstripes. At one point, they thought that Tyon had the best stuff in the Pirates organization, and Garrett Cole was on that staff. That's it.
So that's Tyon and Kluber both coming off big injuries for the Yankees this season, correct?
Yeah. So it's kind of like that roll of the dice thing where you're either going to have a really good pitching staff or you're going to have a really bad pitching staff. I'm starting to wonder, have they just punted the idea on Tanaka? Because I haven't heard anything about him recently. And I do know that he said he's open to play for other teams. Originally, he only wanted to play with the Yankees. But it looks like now I would tend to think if you're adding Tyon, you're adding Kluber, think of some of the other guys that they got coming back. And then, of course, Domingo Germán would be able to come back this year. I don't know if there's room for Tanaka at this point.
It's going to be interesting to see where he falls, if not, because how much value are you putting on Tanaka? Are you going out and paying Yankee money for him?
Tyler Glasnow. That's who I was trying to think of. Sorry, the name was escaping. At one point, Tyler Glasnow was actually below Tyon. In fact, when they went to make the trade, the Pirates didn't want to give up Tyon, so they gave up Glasnow, and the rest is history. What were you saying? I'm sorry, I got on one track mind there. What did you say?
I don't remember. Oh, the Tanaka. If he's not re-signed there, I mean, how favorable is that arm? I mean, are you going to see the Cubs, who are in desperate need of a rotation? I mean, obviously they might be a player, but who else? If Boston just knocking the door down to go in there, because Richards isn't the answer for that rotation. I mean, he's going to solidify it, but how much value is going to be for what Tanaka's camp is looking for?
Well, the question for me is whether or not,
sounds very twinish.
Well, what I'm wondering about is this: where is he as far as? Is he willing to play for anybody, or will he? Or does he have such a small list, and then he'll just say to hell with it, I'll go back home and play in Japan, right? So
Interesting possibility I didn't think about.
So that's my question, because originally when the free agency started, there was rumors it was either Yankees or Japan, and then he came out and said, no, I'm willing to play for other teams, kind of open up his negotiations. But is he stuck in his ways? Has he made enough money? Does he miss home?
Yeah, those teams, Boston, LA, Dodgers, let me be LA specific. Dodgers, Red Sox. I mean, how long is that list?
Exactly. And you don't know if championships are as meaningful to him as it would be other players, because he didn't grow up in the United States. A World Series may not mean as much to him, right? And so he may just be looking for a place that he would enjoy living in, a situation that he would enjoy, and that might be the deciding factor. The other big move was, San Diego signs Jerickson Profar, and that was a big deal to be able to lock him up for the next 3 years. He's an ultimate utility player. But Brad Hand gets signed by the Nationals. Now, of course, Zimmerman also signed with the Nationals earlier last week. Brad Hand comes into the Nationals bullpen. It probably becomes their closer instantly. This is a big deal for two reasons. A, it helps out the Nats. B, Hand was heavily rumored to be signing with the Mets, and now that's off the table.
I like it. I'm ready for April, man. Got to get this season started, because this is going to be one stacked NL East. Somehow the stacked Phillies are at the bottom of the stacking. With all these acquisitions that have happened with the Mets, the Nationals. I mean, the Braves have made some small moves, still nothing of the caliber of those, but really going to be interesting to see how the chips fall in the NL East this year. It's going to be fun. I know that much.
Yasiel Puig is being rumored to have interest from the Yankees, the Royals, and Miami. The Royals and Miami, I understand. The Yankees, I don't get that one. I mean, The Yankees do not need outfield help enough to bring in someone as volatile as Puig, right?
Yeah, the Marlins make the most sense to me. I mean, even the Royals are a little bit. I mean, I guess you're just looking for a position filler at that point. In their situation, the Yankees, I'm with you. I scratch my head on that one.
Strange. What is your walk-off for the day, sir? We didn't get a chance to get to Sorry Dudes.
Oh, well, that guy we couldn't remember that got highly overpaid from the Texans and the Broncos.
Yeah, what was his name?
One Brock Osweiler. Sorry, dude. We can't remember you.
I knew it was a weird-ass last name, man. I could not think of it. I could see his face, and he was goofy, and he always reminded me, the moment he made the signing, it reminded me of when Mitchell left the Dolphins to go to Scott Mitchell left the Dolphins to go to the Lions back in the early 90s. Scott Mitchell played for one season for the Dolphins. It was when Marino was injured, and he had a decent year, and the Lions backed up the truck for the guy. I was like, all right, then. I mean, we were cussing all year that we didn't have Marino under center, and y'all back up the truck for this guy. And that was the last time you heard of Scott Mitchell. Hopefully he was smart with his money because he made off. That'll be my sorry, dude. Detroit Lions. Sorry, dude. You're always going to be the Detroit Lions. When you sign guys like Scott Mitchell and Dan Campbell, you're going to get the same thing over and over again. And they hired Anthony Lynn as their offensive coordinator.
And they're releasing Stafford. They're going to open up to trade him. So this can only be good things, man.
I can't wait to have Sean on Wednesday because his text, man, he's drinking the Kool-Aid and he's dancing up and down. Wait till game 4 of the 2021 season, and he's going to be in the dumper again. The Lions are going to lion. The Lions is Lions.
They'll be handing out paper bags at the ticket stand.
Yeah. Yes, sir. All right, brother. We will see you tomorrow. And I don't know what we're talking about. We'll get that figured out here in a few hours.
Take it easy, man. See you tomorrow.
Yes, sir. All right, we're going to be back in a flash here on the Armchair Quarterbacks. Keep it locked in here to CBS Sports Radio.
That's just my baby dog. That's just my baby dog. That's just my baby dog. He's
Armchair.
CBS Sports Radio.
You're listening to the Armchair Quarterbacks on CBS Sports Radio, #1 sports station.
Good morning, and this is your Armchair Quarterbacks Sports Flash. With all the hype of championship weekend in the NFL, you might have missed the UFC. But Saturday night, Dustin Poirier took down and avenged his loss versus Conor McGregor. The perennial UFC lightweight contender shocked McGregor, beating him via TKO after swarming him with punches at the 232 mark in the second round. Second night in the main event of UFC 257, which was pay-per-view. McGregor had previously beaten Poirier in UFC 178 in 2014. Poirier ranked number 3 and Conor McGregor number 10 in the world. With the football world on pause until a week from Sunday, as it'll resume and conclude this 2020-21 season with the Super Bowl, Major League Baseball's hot stove season is starting to heat up. The Nationals reach a one-year deal with their longtime star, first baseman DH Ryan Zimmerman. Zimmerman did not play in the 2020 season, opting out because of the coronavirus. This year, he announced that he will agree to a one-year, $1 million contract at the age of 36. The Boston Red Sox have been extremely busy as they signed 2 guys over the weekend. They reached a one-year, $10 million deal with starting pitcher Garrett Richards, formerly of the San Diego Padres and Los Angeles Angels. In 2020, he went 2-2 with a 4.03 ERA for the Friars. And they also reached a 2-year deal with longtime Dodger Kike Hernandez. Hernandez had been with the Dodgers for the last 6 years, helping a run to several World Series appearances and bringing it all home in 2020. Hernandez is 29 years old and can virtually play anywhere in the infield. He is a career .240 hitter with little pop, but most experts think getting an everyday role will increase his value immensely. Also of note, the San Diego Padres have agreed to a 3-year, $21 million deal
with Jerickson Profar. Profar continued to show his versatility as a true utility man and played 5 defensive positions for the Padres last year. And that's your Armchair Quarterback Sports Flash. Stay tuned for more of the Armchair Quarterbacks YouTube Live. Please like, subscribe, and share our show today. The Armchair Quarterbacks, your first choice for sports talk live from the First Coast.
You get a whole lot of something with Farmers Policy Perks. So much, I'm going to have to speed things up. You can get the Farmers Signal app, and that could get you up to 15% off your auto policy. That's just for using the app and driving like the normal speed limit adhering, full stop making lane change signaling human being you are. Get a whole lot of something with Farmers Policy Perks. Start with a quote by calling 1-800-FARMERS.
We are farmers. Bum, 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 bum.
Make contact. A collective psychosis is sweeping the nation. We're in the thick of the haze craze, and Elysian is introducing an altered state of IPA. Contact Haze is a tangled chemistry of mild haze, low bitterness, and an explosion of hop aroma. This hazy IPA bursts with notes of bright raspberry, currant, citrus, guava, and passion fruit. Available in 6-pack cans in stores and in all Seattle Elysian locations. Make contact.
Somebody stole a beer truck. It don't matter who it was.
Welcome back here to the Armchair Quarterbacks. And welcoming on to the show, Mr. Red Raider Doug. Doug, how are you?
Good. Thank you.
I don't know if you got the note or not, but the show ends a little early nowadays. So we'll be jumping off here around 9:30. I can't remember if I told you that or not. If I didn't, it's my bad. So we got a little time to get into this, and let's go diving into it off the jump. I meant to let you in before we went to the break, and I didn't realize that once I started my video share that I can't control. So that's why you're a little late coming in. I wanted you to see the new video highlights that that we do now. But anyways,
okay.
I guess you can always go on to YouTube and pull it up later. But the intro has changed dramatically on the graphics and whatnot. I worked all weekend on it. That's why I keep talking about it, y'all. Sorry, but I worked hard on this, and I think it looks 1,000% better going in and out. Okay, so we kind of went over all the things in the game, but you were not here in the first hour. What was your takeaway from, my God, what in the hell were they doing kicking a field goal down 8 with 2 minutes left?
Are you insane? Best player, if you're going to win a championship, you put it in Aaron Rodgers' hands, and you got to put in that touchdown. You don't kick a field goal. Field goals aren't going to win you championships, and it certainly didn't win you the game. So I'm completely surprised that they did that. I think it just really mental laziness. I think they just had it in their head that, oh, we're the Green Bay Packers. It's okay. We'll get the ball back and we'll win.
We're seeing highlights right now of the Bucs, and they took advantage of Green Bay's mistakes, and a lot of times winning football games come down to that, to be perfectly honest with you. It's not always about whether or not you've got the best team. It's how you play that game.
Yeah.
This play right here to me is the biggest play of the weekend. The Scotty Miller deep pass. It was even bigger than the Aaron Jones fumble that led to the touchdown to put him down 28-10. Because without this play, that fumble would not have put him behind the 8 ball so quick.
No.
I mean, this was a death blow right before the half. You get on 21-10. You're still not panicking if you're Green Bay because you've got Aaron Rodgers and you've got Devontae Adams. But I thought they did a very good job of steering Devontae Adams out of big plays. Yeah, Devontae Adams went and got his numbers, but he really didn't do what Devontae Adams normally does.
No.
And this is a guy that had a really good game against the Rams and the Rams secondary and Jalen Ramsey. And then you look at what he did with Tampa Bay. I think Todd Bowles did an incredible job figuring out how to slow down Devontae Adams, because you're not going to shut him out. But if you can slow him down the way they did, I just thought they did an incredible job. Looking at the box score right now, he finished with only 67 yards receiving.
Yeah.
I mean, 9 catches, but 67 yards receiving. So you're talking like 7 yards a catch, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
That's nothing. That's Cole Beasley like, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
Devontae Adams was essentially a non-factor. MVS got deep on a couple of plays, and that was big, but they didn't have much of a semblance of a running game. They only ended up with 67 total yards and they only ran the ball 16 times. I felt like that they just abandoned the running game once they got down the big score.
Mm-hmm.
And they go for 2 when it made absolutely no sense to go for 2. And then the other thing I would like to throw in there is I talked about this in the so let me get out of this. I talked about this earlier, but if Rodgers knew that they were not going to, it wasn't 4-down territory, I think that might have played heavily into the fact that on that 3rd down pass, when it was 3rd and goal from the 8, and he threw against his body on the run, double coverage, just kind of force one in there. I think if he thought this was 4-down territory, Aaron Rodgers could have ran for at least 5 or 6 of those yards. He might have actually had the speed to get into the end zone, but I'm not 1,000% sure on that one, right?
Right.
But my God, I mean, Green Bay got out coached across the board. LaFleur is an absolute joke. What is he doing going for 2 points when it's still in the 3rd quarter? And then, okay, so what you were saying is you're going to go by the analytics, right? Like you got to go for 2. There's no way the analytics tell you to go for the field goal with 2 minutes left. There's no way. If so, fire the analytic guy. So you're not willing to kick the extra point, which, by the way, would have made that go for 2 thing totally, kicking the field goal at the end of the game totally non-existent, because you're not going to kick a field goal if you're down 7. You're going to go for the touchdown. But if you go for 2, it's always assumed that when you go for 2, the reason why you're doing it now is because in the next 2 times that you go for 2, you have a good chance of getting one of them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm going to throw out the fact that St. Brown dropped that pass, and they should have gotten the 2-point conversion. That dude's not on my team this morning. If I'm the Packers, just flat out, I'm cutting him because I don't want him in my organization anymore. Nothing against him personally, but he dropped a big play, a big pass in a big time, and I've got to move on and kind of rip the Band-Aid off, and he's the first Band-Aid I'm going after. But if you're going to go for 2, then you've got to be willing to go for it on 4th down later. Because what you're saying is it's too hard to get a 2-point conversion if I score. So if it's too hard to get a 2-point conversion with 2 minutes left, why the hell is it not too hard to get a 2-point conversion late in the 3rd quarter? That's all I'm saying.
No. And that just goes to this, Green Bay's coach. It was just this one-dimensional thinking the whole game. I mean, no kind of counter reaction to anything that Tampa Bay was doing. Nothing. It was just kind of, damn, the torpedoes go straight ahead. No sense of thinking. And those 2 plays are what I'm talking about. I'm like, you're not adapting to the game. Are you watching the same game I'm watching? You've got a Tampa defense that's beating you up and down the field all day, and you do no adjustments whatsoever. And it drives me crazy because I've seen it several times this season. It's just you have Green Bay's got the personnel to make these changes when you're down in a big game like this, and you do nothing. You just, to me, it's just like a little bit of arrogance. Oh, well, we're Green Bay. We'll just keep doing the same thing, and eventually it'll work. Well, it's not working. And then on top of it, you've got your quarterback. You're right there, and it's like you said. Yeah, went for it then. Why in God's name are you not going for it now? Absolutely. And that's coaching.
It's an absolute disaster. Here is Aaron Rodgers, okay, about the decision to not go for it.
Please. Aaron, did you agree with the decision to kick it there on 4th down?
Well, I didn't have a decision on that one. Yeah, that wasn't my decision. But I understand the thinking above 2 minutes with all of our timeouts, but yeah, that wasn't my decision.
So there you have that. He was definitely, without him throwing his coach under the bus, he was definitely not for it. Because anybody would have not. It was so stupid. Such a stupid call. You can't defend it. And you kind of put everyone behind the 8 ball in the post-game press conference because you don't want to go, well, my coach is an idiot, and I don't know why the hell we didn't go for it. And I probably should have told the kicker to get the hell off the field. I probably should have burned a damn timeout is what I should have done. And then that way it would have forced him to realize we needed to go for it, right? But if you don't get it, then the Bucs have the ball on the 8-yard line with essentially 4 timeouts left because you get the 2-minute warning. You're in a much better position than if you kick the ball off because you still have to score a damn touchdown.
Yeah.
They were down 5. And it was 4th and 24. Like 4th and goal from the 24. Then I get it. Then I go, okay, you're figuring you kick a field goal. You're going to need a big defensive stand. And a field goal wins you the game. Or even if a field goal were to tie you the game. But you're going to have a touchdown. It just makes no damn sense. Anyways, we move on from that. Tampa Bay is going to go to the Super Bowl for the first time. A team will host its own Super Bowl. So that is monumentous. I've always wondered when it was going to happen because I knew it was going to happen one day. And we've had some close calls, but this is the first time it's actually going to happen. So should shock nobody that it's Tom Brady that finally does it. I contended this would have happened a hell of a lot sooner if you would ever let New England host the Super Bowl because odds are the Patriots would have been in the damn thing. So now we've got KC versus Tampa Bay. It's a rematch. It should be a much better game. If people forget the original game, Kansas City won. They got out to a huge lead, then they kind of held on. Tyreek Hill had like a phenomenal first quarter, like almost had like 200 yards receiving. It was ridiculous. Yeah. And so now we get the rematch. And with the rematch, we get what I think is going to be the ultimate cat and mouse game because you're going to have to be trying to play. If you are Tom Brady and company, you're going to have to try to play keep away, essentially, right? Mm-hmm. Like that's going to be the name of the game. Keep away, try to get as many points as you can, but also try to limit the touches that Pat Mahomes gets. Because Patrick Mahomes, if he gets the ball too many times, well, we're going to show you what happens. This is what happens all game long. I mean, he's got too many weapons. I mean, even McCall Hardman, right? And you don't even think of him as one of the big weapons, but he had that big long run at the beginning of the second half that set Kansas City up quite nicely. And there's just too many weapons. Buffalo couldn't keep up with that many weapons. The reason why I thought Buffalo had a chance was because I thought maybe Mahomes wouldn't play or Mahomes would be a little rusty. But that was not the case. Tyreek Hill is just, I mean, you can't cover this guy. I feel sorry for the poor sap that has to be in charge of covering him during the Super Bowl, because you might literally get embarrassed. And so this is the most electric player in football. There is nobody in football that is more difficult to cover, more difficult to tackle in open space, the whole 9 yards. His speed is off the charts. I don't care what it says. He is the fastest guy on the planet. I don't care what other you might get a situation where they say that, you know, that's not the case, but I do not believe that there's a human on the planet that's more difficult to cover than Mr. the Cheetah, as they call him. What say you?
Well, I'll tell you, if Tampa dials up a defense like they did against Green Bay and like they have been, if they can come up, because that is one thing with Kansas City, and I'm not saying it's going to completely stop Kansas City from scoring. You get that pressure up front against Mahomes, and I'm only saying